absolute thrill to be here. Thank you very much for tuning in and listening wherever you are. Colin does his Blazing Five. He's been doing it for a while. What do the Sharps think? You should just ask, what do I think? Because I went 65% in the NFL against the spread last year. And you're like, why does he keep bringing it up? Because that's really hard to do. And it was the best year of my life. Although it is back-to-back 60+% seasons against the spread in the NFL. So I couldn't pass up the opportunity, being in this chair for Colin, to leave you with some wagering opportunities, if you see fit, how I see the NFL heading in to the 2025-2026 season. Why do a 5 favorite over-under or 10 favorite over-under when you can give your 32 favorite over-unders for the upcoming NFL season? Let's begin in the NFC North, where I've picked the Lions to be in the Super Bowl back-to-back years. Not sure if I'll do it again this year, but I'm definitely picking them for over at 10.5. 27 wins over the last 2 seasons, most in the NFL. That's more than the Kansas City Chiefs. Interior offensive line questions, loss of coordinator questions. But if their defense is just normal hurt instead of extreme hurt, the offense is too good. That's still an 11 or 12 win team. Yes, in that division. Yes, with their schedule. The Vikings were 9-1 in 1-score games last year. I like J.J. McCarthy. I love Kevin O'Connell, but that's an under. That's an under if I've ever seen one for them at 9.5. 14 wins felt like a fluke last year. Win 7-8 games. Have your quarterback for the future. They'll be fine. The Packers are under at 9.5. This division is going to be very bunched up, I think, between 2, 3, and 4. Obviously, those could finish in any order. 2 and 6 against teams that made the playoffs last year were the Green Bay Packers. And I was surprised. I know they love Golden, the first-round pick. I was surprised they invested another asset into receiver on the offensive side of the ball. They need more pass rush for me. They lived and died by the turnover last year with the new defensive coordinator bump, and McKinney had an unbelievable first year in Green Bay. If they don't have as much turnover luck this year, I think it's more like an 8-win season for the Packers. And I know the Bears are the all-hype team, but everything in the world went wrong for them last year. If just a few things go right, the amount of upgrades that they had at coach, play caller, offensive line, defensive line, 2 tight ends set, second year of Caleb Williams in the pros. People are like, oh, Caleb Williams was a bust. Caleb Williams wasn't good. That was the best quarterback season that the Bears had in a decade. Not hyperbole. 3,500 passing yards was the most the Bears quarterback had since 2016. He'll be better. The Bears will be better. They're a 9 or a 10-win team this season. Let's go to the NFC East. The Eagles are the best team in football. The Eagles are an over team. Their total's at 11.5, which is very high, but they've gone over their win total under Nick Sirianni 3 of 4 years. And if they have no weaknesses, it's hard to pick them to not hit their over. You can say, well, it could be injuries. Sure, it could be injuries for any team. I'm not going to go 32 for 32, though that is the goal on this exercise. But also part of it for the Eagles is that I think the next 2 teams that everyone thinks are going to challenge them in the NFC East, the Commanders and Cowboys, I have both of them going under their win total this year. The Commanders might be the team with the better roster, but the worst win-loss record. I just don't know that you can replicate converting 87% of your 4th downs, which is what they did last year. They lived on the edge, and it was 1-score victories, and it was impressive, and it was remarkable that it was being done by a rookie quarterback. But if that regresses to the mean even a little bit, the Commanders are an under team. Remember, they beat Tampa in that playoff game by 3 points. Cowboys under 8.5. We talk about Dallas last year like Dak Prescott got hurt in the first game of the season. They were 3-5 with Dak Prescott, with non-impressive wins. An end-of-the-game win against the Steelers, a win over the Giants, a win over the Browns. It was just not an impressive football team, and I think they've got a ton of questions on their offensive line. The Giants are an over team for me at 5.5, even though their schedule is absolutely brutal. Jeff Schwartz was on yesterday. He had their under there. There's no question the schedule is brutal. But what if they're a top 10 defense? Because they were 8th in sacks last year, and they added Abdul Carter. Their front seven is nasty. Malik Neighbors is nasty. I don't know what if Jackson Dart and Russell Wilson, it's probably going to be bottom 10 quarterback play in the NFL, and coach and GM are definitely on the hot seat. But if you've got a top 10 defense, you're in a lot of games. Let's go to the NFC South. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are the best organization in the NFL that people just don't respect enough. Baker Mayfield, last 2 seasons, comfortably inside the top 10 in touchdowns, yards, points. That's useful. Over at 9.5. Teams in the NFL, quick trivia question, that have made the playoffs 5 or more straight years, 3 teams. Chiefs, Bills, Bucks. Now, some of that's Tom Brady, obviously, but Bucks are a well-oiled machine at this point on the offensive side of the ball. Falcons have bit me before, and I'm going to go back to the well here and say the Falcons get over on 7.5 wins. Michael Penix, with his huge arms, seemed to unlock some of the skill position guys. He was like, hey, let's draft Drake London and Kyle Pitts and Bijan Robinson and then not give him the ball. It was a bold strategy, and it did not work out for him. But Penix looks really good in the 3 games, even though he's an unconventional quarterback, but he fires the ball down the field. And they've had the worst pass rush in the NFL the last 5 years, and they used basically 2 first-round picks to go out and get some young pass rushers, traded next year's first to move up, and then their first-round pick this year. So if their pass rush is even average, I think the Falcons are an over team. Same with the Panthers. The schedule's easy, and Bryce Young looked better at the end of the year, and some of the upgrades, like if they are just a bottom, if they're like the 22nd best defense in the NFL instead of dead last, especially against the run where they were historically terrible, and Bryce Young continues to progress. Guy had 7 touchdowns against 0 picks in his last 3 games. They can win 7 games. The Saints, however, cannot win 6. The Saints are an under 5.5 team. I think they are tanking. I think they are a prime trade candidate. Like, I hope Alvin Kamara does not finish the season with the Saints. The Saints, by the way, went 0-7 in games last year whenever Derek Carr was not their starting quarterback. And producer note, Derek Carr, not their starting quarterback. To the NFC West. The Rams have won over 10 games in 6 of the 8 years with Sean McVay. It's embarrassing how much I went back and forth on this total just because I do really worry about the injuries on their offensive line. But Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams, Sean McVay calling the plays with Matt Stafford slinging it, with Fisk and Verse on the defensive line. I just can't quit the Rams. And the Niners, Purdy's not great, but he's good enough. Shanahan's elite. To me, the key is Christian McCaffrey's health. He's worth 4 points per game when he's in the lineup versus not in the lineup for the Niners. Kyle Shanahan got Alfred Morris to be productive. Like with Atlanta, with San Francisco, anybody produces in the running game for Kyle Shanahan. You give him Christian McCaffrey, it's a cheat code. All indications are that he is 100% healthy, changed his regimen, is going to be good to go for this year. The Seahawks at under 8.5. I got huge offensive line questions. I've got huge Sam Darnold questions. How he finished last year in that game against the Vikings and the playoff game leaves a bad. I mean, going from Kevin O'Connell and Justin Jefferson and that offensive line to everything that he's got going on in Seattle right now, that just feels like a rude awakening, but an absolutely legendary offseason at the bank. And then the Cardinals, under 8.5, struggled with this one too, but they've only won more than 8 games with Kyler Murray once. I like Harrison. I like McBride. They run the ball when Kyler Murray is in there, but I think the division is really good at the top, and I just can't count on them to stay healthy. And they didn't do anything in terms of additions on the offensive side of the ball. Let's get to the AFC. We're doing it like a clock, I was told. North, East, South, West. It makes sense. AFC North. Yeah, it checks. It works. You don't have to double check me on that. Ravens under 11.5. 5 of the first 6 games are against playoff teams from last year. And their offense was so historic. I mean, Lamar Jackson had 4 interceptions last year. Derrick Henry was healthy. It was an impossible offense. Feels, even though I think Zay Flowers will be much better this year, feels very difficult to replicate that. I think that they can be a 10-win team that still is very dangerous and has a very high ceiling, but with their schedule, regresses a little bit. It's also because I believe in the Bengals and the Steelers. I have overs for both of them. This Bengals fact is maybe my favorite one of the whole exercise that we're doing here as I go through all 32 over-unders. They averaged 27.8 points per game last year. Last 5 years, if you score 27 or more points, on average, you win 12 games. They won 9. Just be competent defensively. Use 3 of your first 4 picks on defensive players in the draft. Defensive coordinator bump. Bengals are a double-digit win team. Steelers just have to be okay on offense to hit this over. They're 37-6 in their last 5 years if they score 20 points in a game. 37-6, score 20. Aaron Rodgers, you got DK Metcalf and Jonnu Smith and Jalen Warren and Freiermuth. Can you score 21 points per game? If you can, Mike Tomlin's going to get you to over 8.5. Let's go through the Browns' first 6 games, shall we? You'll understand why they're at under 5.5. Bengals, Ravens, Packers, Lions, Vikings, Steelers. Yikes. That feels like an 0-6 start for the Cleveland Browns. I got them under 5.5 wins. To the AFC East, the Buffalo Bills. No one's caught up to them in this division. Patriots have gotten better, no doubt about it, but I think people are going a little crazy there. Buffalo is odds-on favorite to be the 1 seed in the AFC, the biggest favorite to win a division of any team in the NFL. Awesome offensive line, a few key defensive additions, the MVP of the league, a balanced attack finally. The young wide receivers like Shakir and Coleman should only get better. They've bludgeoned teams in the regular season, best regular season point differential the last 5 years. Bills are a clear over team at 11.5. The Patriots, I feel like, raised their floor, but not their ceiling. I love Drake May. I own all the Drake May stock you could possibly own. They've had 1 year where they've won more than 8 games since Tom Brady, and it feels like they're 1 year away from getting there. I like what they did. It's about like the infrastructure and the guts of the team, but I still think they need a little bit more, weapons and help to put the ball in the end zone for Drake May. So I think they're a year away from being a playoff team. I mean, the Jets are a disaster. The Jets are an under 5.5 win team, and I love Justin Fields as a guy, but he is not in a good situation to be successful despite any reports that he knew Garrett Wilson in college. Fine. That's not enough for them to win 6 games this season. And the Dolphins at 7.5, the injuries are already starting to pile up, and Tua, when he played 17 games, great. When he doesn't, no one else can operate Mike McDaniel's offense. And talk to a Dolphins fan, they're like, the NFL has figured out our offense. That's not good. If every Dolphins fan's like, yeah, everyone knows what's coming every single play, probably not a good recipe to win 8 or 9 games. Let's go to the AFC South as we go through all 32 NFL over-unders this year. The Texans were 5-1 against the AFC South last year and 5-6 against everyone else, 1-5 against playoff teams. Yes, they had offensive line injuries. Yes, they had wide receiver injuries. But C.J. Stroud spent most of the season on his back looking up at the domed ceiling, and then they traded away Laramie Tunsil. I don't get that one. Under 9.5 for the Texans. I think the Colts are a good organization with a good coach. And people seem to love Daniel Jones. Okay, fine. I love Anthony Richardson's talent. But they've won 8 or more games in 4 of the last 5 years. The Colts are good. The Colts are feisty. They maybe don't have as high of a ceiling as some of these other teams, but they've won 8 or more games in 4 of the last 5 years, despite having 8 different quarterbacks. It's a good organization. Jaguars under 7.5. Liam Cohen, maybe. I love Travis Hunter, but I got to see it before I believe it. They've gone under their win total in 3 of 4 years with Trevor Lawrence as their starting quarterback. The Titans' offense last year was so historically bad that if Cam Ward gives them anything, I think they hit their over on 5.5 wins. 4th worst in the NFL, averaging 182 passing yards the last 3 seasons. If he gets them to like 225, that's such a massive improvement. I think they can eke out 6 wins. To the division that people think is the best in the NFL, we'll wrap it up in the AFC West. The Chiefs are an over team until proven otherwise. It's a cliche, but they know how to win. But they improved their offensive line. They improved the health of the receiver core. They lost Joe Thuney, but they seem to have upgraded at left tackle. Their defense is top 3 in the NFL. 12 or more wins in 6 of 7 seasons with Patrick Mahomes as a starter. Andy Reid is an over machine. He hit his overs when he had Alex Smith as his quarterback in Kansas City. They're a 13-win team until proven otherwise. You guys know I can't quit Justin Herbert and the Chargers, but number 1 scoring defense, year 2 of Harbaugh, first-round pick running back, second-round pick, deep threat wide receiver to help out. Ladd McConkey, an absolute stud, arguably the best tackle duo in the NFL. Harbaugh goes 11-6 last year. This is an over for the Chargers. Broncos went 5-5 through 10 games, and then they won 5 of their last 7. They are a very good team. This is a very good division. Someone has to go under, and I'm betting on there being a little bit of a plateau for the Broncos offense. And we'll see. I mean, Ingram, Kufanga, Greenlaw, they made additions, but they also have some injury concerns for me with some of the guys that they added. So I'm not ready to say that they're a back-to-back double-digit win team. But the Raiders go over on 6.5. No team in the NFL upgraded more at coach and quarterback. Geno Smith is good. He's not great, but he is accurate, he slings it, and he had no offensive line. There are questions about the Raiders' offensive line, no doubt, but my point is he's used to it. And now he gets a competent head coach. He gets Ashton Genty. He gets Brock Bowers. That's going to be a fun team to watch and a really difficult team to game plan against. So I think the Raiders are a pesky team in the AFC this year. And that concludes 32 NFL over-unders. That feels like, what, 29-3 against the spread right there? I felt like 29-3. A little shaky on maybe the Cardinals, the Panthers. But, hey, if you go 65% against the spread in the NFL last year, you got to have some confidence heading into the next year. So that's how I see the NFL heading into the 2025 NFL season.